This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, this is Karen Cook from the Home Modification Occupational Therapy Alliance, HMOTA, and welcome to tonight's meeting. We've been getting quite a few people. In fact, the last three big cases we've had have been for people who don't have use of their upper extremities. And we've had a lot of that sort of thing just for people who've had quadriplegia, um, because we do see a lot of people with quadriplegia, but for some reason, not only have we had a lot of people with quadriplegia lately, but also bilateral upper extremity, um, bilateral upper extremity amputations, different things, spinal cord injuries where they can use their legs but not their arms, just a lot of stuff going on with the upper extremities. And we're trying to, as always, we want to do the best we can to really make a difference in people's lives. So we are, so today's meeting, I want to introduce you to some of the things that we've been seeing. And I'm hoping that everyone will have, people have different ideas to help make this work. We do have a woman who may be coming by the name of Deborah, who's got some experience with this. And so hopefully she'll make it to the meeting. I know she had some other things going on as well. So anyway, so again, we've had quite a few people lately with upper extremity amputations or just non-functional upper extremities. So, with the advent of technology, it makes it so there's a lot more we can do for people than we used to be able to do for them. But there's still so much more out there in the physical built environment. And, we really do our best to try to help people and to try to modify their homes. Money is not usually an option or an issue. The issue is usually just finding the alternatives to make things work. And so I'm going to turn my camera off because I find it completely distracting. And we'll go over the home modifications for people with upper extremity issues. Before we really get into that, though, I'd just like to point out HMOTA's objectives to promote occupational therapists as leaders in the home mod field and to build our market with quality and consistency. And that's part of the reason that we do the educational stuff like we're doing today, just so we can all benefit from each other's expertise. The other goal of HMOTA is to develop a lucrative business model for OT home mod businesses by developing income streams and research. So it's really important to us that, not only are we, building our market, but we're also monetizing it and monetizing OT, specifically monetizing OT in such a way where we aren't beholden to health insurance, just because health insurance just seems to be so very difficult to use or to bill for. So these are our objectives. Does anyone have any news they'd like to share of anything that's going on with them? I just want to say real quick, I'm getting a lot of emails asking me about the HUD grants, the Older Adult Home Modification Program grants. We've got 6 of them and everything's moving. Everything appears to be going well. So hopefully that will continue to go. I haven't heard anything otherwise from anyone.
I just, when you're done talking, I didn't mean to interrupt you. This is Jill Finkel.
Yeah, hey Jill.
Hi, I didn't know if, having, I'm a part of the HUD grant piece that's going to hopefully be starting in the spring in Massachusetts. And I didn't know if there was ever any kind of group or online forum or anything where people who have done the HUD grants would be willing to talk about their experience and share ideas. I guess this website here and this group would be able to do that, but having not done it before, I did put a little message out on the HMOTA website to see if anyone was interested in chatting and talking about what to expect, how to kind of prepare for it, that kind of thing. I don't know if anyone's interested in that.
We can definitely have a meeting about that. We're going to be launching HUD grant Ville Platte, Louisiana, at the end of this month. And so we'll be doing a lot of training for that. I'm just trying to organize the launch right now. And you can definitely be as a part of that, Jill, virtually, and see what's going on. You as well, Sheila. We've got obviously 5 other OTs in HMOTA that are doing this grant with us. And so, yeah, we'll we'll open that up, especially to the people who are part of HUD or want to learn more about that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Turn my camera on since I'm not presenting. Kelly.
Erin, this is Judy Morris. They can always email me because I've been through it.
She has been through it.
So, I mean, just keep that in mind if they have questions. You can share my email with them if you'd like.
Okay, or you can stick it in the chat if you want.
Oh, okay, I will.
Thank you very
Okay, cool.
much.
Hey, Kelly.
Hi. Yeah, I'm Kelly. I'm in Portland, Oregon. I just officially named my company and got the LLC, and I applied for my EIM number, so it's
Yay.
happening. And I just had a question to the group, or if you want to connect later. So I might have my first official client. It's a person in my neighborhood. I just kind of did like a soft reach out to my neighborhood first. And it's an older woman who has paraplegia. She said that she's paralyzed from her chest down. She has a caregiver and, a few pets. It looks like she's in a single level, like Rambler Ranch, 3 bedroom. Yeah. And then so it's just basically, she just contacted me just to do like a home assessment, basically. And then she revealed to me that she also got a VA grant. So I don't know yet. I haven't met with her yet. I don't know, how much uh, of a grant she was awarded, and I don't know the scope of the project yet. But I guess I just wanted to like ask because I don't have experience working with the VA, and I would have to find VA contractors who have like a VA number, is what I'm told. But anyway, the long story short is that I'm going to do a home eval, and I proposed to her that if it's a bigger scope, that I'm available as well to help with the bigger process. And so that's where I was like asking for feedback, like if anyone's worked with the VA, that process, and then also just the process of like maybe not scaring away this person, like because I'm already seeing the bigger picture. And so maybe just advice on like how do I then, yes, I do a comprehensive home eval, but then how do I sort of introduce me being part of the bigger picture? That was like the question that I had. If anyone has any VA experience or just, it's almost like a business question, like not scaring them away. No?
So,
I
well,
I can say
go
one thing,
ahead,
Kelly.
Sheila.
Yeah, this is Sheila O'Connor. I'm in North Carolina, and I know our just I guess a word of caution. I was talking to one contractor who did VA projects, but he said the person gets the check, and again, this may be specific to our area. I don't know, but he said he had to take this person to court
Oh,
because
wow.
the VA gave him the money. They spent the money. The guy did the project, and he said he would never he said there are a lot of complications and problems he found in working with VA because he was trying to turn all those projects over to me. He said, I just assumed you
Mm,
take the VA projects. So,
yeah,
but just
that's
I
good.
like if you know this person but I understand that happens sometimes where they
Okay,
get the
that's
check
very
and
good.
yeah, just that's a bit of advice. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. That's very helpful. Cool. Thank you.
So I do know that you can get a list of the VA contractors.
Yeah.
I got for, I haven't done a lot of VA, but
Uh,
maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I was thinking about it. So
mhm.
I got my VA number,
Oh, you
my
did. Okay.
contract, because I have a construction company. So I got it for the company. When I did, I got a list of all the VA contractors in the state of Michigan. And I
Okay.
don't remember, it was probably more like 10 years ago. I don't remember how I did that, but you can request from the VA a list of their approved
Okay.
contractors.
Can I at least do
And then one thing I thought, Kelly, when you sent that email to me
that?
that
Yeah.
you were thinking of is when you say being part of the bigger picture, I
Mhm.
thought it was you were thinking more like project management, where you work
Correct.
with the builder, make sure that they, place
Yes.
things properly, help
Correct.
them problem solve when they can't do things the way that the design is because of the built environment.
Yeah.
The other nice thing that would be good for your client, for you to
Mhm.
be there for project management, is
Mhm.
one to procure all of the accessibility things.
Mhm.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't know if she wants a roll, if she wants a tile shower or a prefab shower. You can get a prefab shower from Best Bath, which are the best ones on the market, in my opinion. Although
Okay.
there's some other good ones that I would recommend. Um,
Okay.
the other thing that, so you could, tell the builders, if you were going to be the project manager, you would just tell the builders, okay, I'm going to be the project manager. um, some people do it by saying, okay, you add 10% on for me to be the project manager. And
Okay.
then the other thing that I do typically is, I don't usually do it that way. I have the construction company, so they just work for me. But when you're bidding it out, it's a little different because
Mm.
they're gonna probably have to get 2 or 3 bids. So you
Mhm.
just make sure everybody maybe puts a little bit in their bid for you, so you can help manage the job. The other
Oh,
thing is, I would give every builder that's
yeah.
coming construction specifications, telling them
Yeah.
exactly what needs to be done. And
Yes.
then also, I put together, like, you can set up, kind of run it like an interior designer runs their business, where you provide some of the design elements. For instance, it's important you get a sink that's 8 inches less or deep, plumbed in the back.
Yeah.
So you would provide that. And
Yeah.
and then you just add like 20% on for your time, or 20 to 30% on for your time to go, you know, find the sinks, give them to the client to choose from, and
Uh-huh.
then when it's time for them to do the quote, you just give the pricing to the builder and they put that right in the quote, because otherwise they're going to have to, and a lot of times the builders don't want to have to deal with trying to find the design elements. But
Gotcha.
that's the devil's in the details. If one guy I had on the construction specifications, tall faucet, he got a short faucet. The guy was in a wheelchair. He couldn't get his hands under the faucet because the angle his hands went into it. I mean, the builders don't understand just the
Oh,
little details of what needs to be done. So by
okay.
providing that, you can make sure it's aesthetically pleasing, you can make sure it works with the disability, and
Mhm.
you can also be there to help the builder when he's going. So if
Mhm.
something comes up and it needs to be changed,
Mhm.
you can brainstorm together so it's changed in a way that still is accessible for the client, because they only get to spend that money one time.
Yeah.
So it's got to be done correctly.
Right.
And
Okay.
that's what you would bring to the table.
Okay.
Builders build. You're not going to tell them how to build, but you can help them with placement and that sort of thing.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. And hello, Debbie. I'm so glad you're here. This is Debbie. She's, well, I know that you specialize in working with people with upper extremity issues. Is that
Yeah,
true?
well, it's pretty close. Yeah, mostly upper limb loss. So
Okay.
people with any kind of absence of either or both upper limbs. I'm involved a lot with prosthetic rehab and design, research and design of devices.
I am so grateful you're here. Uh, I was telling the group we've the last 3 or 4 big clients we've had have had upper extremity issues. We see a lot of quadriplegia, but for
Hmm.
some reason, like the last 4 people have either had like some sort of spinal issue where they can use their legs but not their arms, um, or both their arms are amputated. One lost his arms in a fire. I mean, we've just had a lot of bilateral upper extremity issues, and I want to make sure that, you know, we've got the funding for the home modifications, but I want to make sure we're not missing anything and that we're doing right by them. And
Yeah.
so what I thought we could start with is I'll show you one client that I met this woman right after she, her name's Kim, and I met her right after she had a bilateral amputations of her arms and her legs. She had had surgery and went septic, and then they ended up amputating both her arms and both her legs.
Hmm.
So that was 10 years ago. I was the OT that was part of her litigation.
Hmm.
And I was not part of the actual, I had written up the recommendations and a lot of them she was able to do, but I wasn't part of the actual build. So what I want to do is share her story with you and show you all like what's working for her. And then maybe we can talk about all this a little bit more. Maybe Debbie, you can give us a little more insight. And I want to also present a couple of the other people that we have recently and see if, you know, what your recommendations are, one in particular. So just want to introduce you. Actually, her name's Pam. Can everyone hear this?
No,
You can't
No
hear it?
sound.
Okay. You can hear it?
I
No.
no.
Just a second. I think sometimes when I wear my headphones, you can't hear them. Just a second. Okay, so here's Pam. Can you hear it now?
Not really.
Not very well. It's very garbled.
So one of the first things we did was we opened up this front entryway by making an extra.
I'm sorry. Let me see if I can adjust it here. This is this is going to be the best it's going to get, and I can tell you what she says. Basically, the visuals are more important anyway.
The wide door, so that if I needed to get in with a wheelchair, I could. Everything we did was, you know, for me, walking with prosthetic legs, but also knowing that in the future I might need to be in a wheelchair. So we wanted to modify things so that it could go either way. So we widened this doorway, we took out closets and anything that was making it feel confined and narrow, and then opened up this area so that it became one big open room. And here we didn't really have to do anything else other than that. We did some cosmetic things like putting in a fireplace. That's an electric fireplace, so I can just turn it on and turn it off. But other than that, it was more taking out walls, which, as you know, depending on where your home is built and where the support beams are, can be a major challenge. And it was, because that of course, we had to put metal, you know, support beams into the start. So that's what we did in here, and then we opened up this area as well. This used to be a little bathroom that you had access through this door, and then you went immediately into a first floor master bedroom. So this is probably where we did the most work, which I think is the most interesting part of making a house really usable for me or for someone with mobility issues or upper limb limitations. So we basically opened this up, and I'll just show you the bedroom first. So it's not a very big bedroom. you can see on either side of the bed, this is kind of my favorite thing, we have these two nightstands.
I'm sorry, this video's not better.
Because I don't get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, we have this secret commode built.
You were talking about
So
that.
this is my favorite thing. So this is my bedside commode, which is built in with plumbing, and then we have the actual button for it hidden under here. So some of the things he did, it was just like I didn't want it to look like.
So I don't know how much of this you can hear, but she gets up at night to use the bathroom.
Yeah,
So
brilliant.
Yeah. No, this is just, she did such a great job.
I have a commode at my bedside all the time. You know, I mean, it was some of that, just the aesthetics of it, the dignity of having kind of more of a private area. So we had that built. And then we also had this not little, it's a pretty big bunch, but at the beginning, and I'll probably just do it this way.
And she always takes she never wears her prosthetics for very long. I don't know why.
Well, they're heavy and she's sweating so much. They're covering. There's a reason. I do understand why she doesn't wear them as much.
It's slam down on you and it's not going to feel that.
He's like, this is my spot.
But I like how she's got a lot of stuff set up like big for she can just use her bigger, her arm.
Just got a little door. So
Did you have to, did you have to make sure there was ventilation in there? I don't see ventilation.
no, I didn't. So basically it was just so that I could, in the morning, get in bed, just unspat my legs. I can just show you. Do you want me to show you?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, no problem. So I just take off my legs. Here.
That is so cool.
Great.
Alright, so then that way I wasn't having to fish around constantly for my legs on the floor. And then, so we would just hold them in place. I can close this all up when I'm in bed at night, so I don't have to look at. It's kind of, again, something that's aesthetic. I didn't like having to look at all the cords they charge to and all the equipment. I wanted it out of the way so that it was more relaxing and just like my bedroom would be, before I had my amputations. And then this was one of the biggest things in the beginning for me, being able to get up, put my liners on, put my socks on, which I can do all that myself on the bed, but then get out of bed safely.
Right.
And get up. So I can go get my coffee or do whatever I'm going to do.
Right.
And so they're just in this little stand. It gives me support on either side if I need it.
Oh, beautiful. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. This is just wonderful.
And you're ready to broken, and I step out. And I can, we're not pulling off the hinge right now. So sorry, home builders. And I can just close up.
I like how it's got that little ring on the top too.
Yeah, so we had a really wonderful carpenter help us do both of these things, but I think it's something that could be replicated for someone else. This very simply, and that it was just my idea to put it in a cabinet that was like a bedside stand. So
yeah, I remember
really well.
I remember talking about that back when all this first began.
Yeah. So in here, other than that, this is all closets, but there's really, I wouldn't say there's anything all that super accessible about it, except that for me, I find a walk-in closet was not all that helpful for me, and this I can just, it's in my closet, but it's really easy to do doors that just roll, and so my hanging clothes are in here, and then I have drawers and baskets that I can access really easily. And on the other side is all baskets because I like to use baskets for, I'll show you, just for my different supplies because they're just easy for me to be able to take out. I used to have them all labeled, okay, socks, like when I was trying to get organized when people were helping me a lot. But now I just have different things in each basket and I can just pull them up and take out clothes, set them out for myself, and then seal it all off again. So, yeah. So that was, and I do find things that.
So I just want to point this out too. One thing I did notice when I was there, like with these big panel doors, it gave her a lot to push on. Just having that, it was maybe a half-inch inset for the panel for these sliding doors. So even little things like that, you know, just something to give you a little leverage. I just thought that was interesting with her while I was there. So you can see her doing it right here, just pushing on the panel.
That slide much easier as far as the doors. That's one thing we modified. So even I'll walk you through to the bathroom. Every like doors that I was opening and closing, going into spaces like this, I did best with a pocket door because I can just flip that little switch up. So we tried a lot of different iterations of this. You're like, what's going to work the best? But a pocket door works really well. Nice. Yeah. So,
just real quick, did you find that to be the case, Deb? Or people like the sliders better than other things? Or
Yeah. So with, oh, I've got an echo. I'm sorry. Can you hear me okay?
yeah,
So it's very difficult with a prosthesis to open rotary doorknobs, levers. So most people will choose doors similar to what Pam has, or doors that open with a lever, because those are very easy to grab onto with just about any kind of prosthesis, whether it's a body powered or an electronic one, or even a passive type of aesthetic device, because you can hook the hand into the handle, any of those. But a rotary dial is bad news.
yeah, for sure.
Sliding doors is definitely better, especially if they don't require a lot of pulling or pushing. You know, if they're on something where it slides easily.
Yeah, those barn style doors are beautiful.
Yeah.
here's my bathroom, which I would describe as like a car wash for someone. So we ended up doing this wall mounted unit that actually can be voice activated, although I've never had to use it as a voice activated shower because I can use my hands, but without showering myself. I mean, I basically come in.
I feel like this could turn into America's Funniest Home Videos in a minute.
Yeah. Right. So, anyways, without turning on the shower, because I don't really want to get soaked with it, I basically have like 3 different ways I can shower. It can come over my head. It can, these 2 spouts come out sideways, and then this is just the handheld. And I started looking at all different bench situations too, and I found that this worked the best for me. It's wide enough that eventually, if I have to be in here in a shower wheelchair, I can. But for now, basically what I do, and again, this is sort of an aesthetics, you know, more aesthetics than anything else, is I just turn these sideways, and I can scoot up on them. I just put it on, take my legs off, and I sit on that, and I shower while sitting on this.
Nice. And then you just put your legs on that side, on the
So
other side?
basically, I take my legs off. Like I just take them off of there, and then I you know, just get on this bench. I turn, I sit this way, and then I can get on it, you know, which I'm pretty good at that. Like I can turn around. Some people might not be able to do this, but I put my legs back on while I'm on the bench, and then just oh, perfect. So it really, this has worked out really nicely for me.
And it's beautiful.
And I, you know, can do it all myself, which in the beginning I felt like, was that going to reach that point? These are just regular vanities, but we did build in my makeup station so it had actually handicap accessible sites. So if I was in a wheelchair, either height. So if I'm in a wheelchair, this can be, the plumbing's there, and we can make that into another sink.
Oh, good
So
planning.
yeah, so we just thought we'd make it, again, we didn't really know, as a lot of people you're meeting with, you didn't really know what the future would hold. Right. So there's that.
This is so beautiful and so cool.
Well, thanks.
And I love all the problem solving you did.
Yeah, so we did do some great problem solving, and I think for the most part, all of this has worked out really well. You know, and I don't think I would have known what I needed to do in the beginning. So it was good to wait a while. That's hard.
That's really good advice.
Yeah, to wait a while, because where someone is at with whatever physical challenge they are experiencing in the beginning is going to be different from where they're going to be a year down the line or 2 years down the line. I mean, it always changes, but I think I would have thought in the beginning I had to have a house that was more wheelchair accessible 100%. And that really hasn't been the case 10 years later.
Yeah.
So this, I don't know, we won't videotape this, or you can. This is just like a little powder room that's right here, and there's nothing all that exciting about it except that it is nice. I would recommend this type of.
Oh, nice.
Yes, so it has a little, again, another remote control and all that, so you can use it. You know, if you have limited mobility with your hands or limited fine motor skills.
Whoa, that's wonderful. Where's the remote for it?
Oh, I'll show you.
It looked more like magic to me because I didn't see it touch anything.
There we go. I don't know if the batteries on this one.
How did that open? Was it just like motion activated?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and you can touch, actually, right now, we don't use the remote as much because all you do is you touch the sides of the toilet, like right here. Is the button to flush it. On the other side there are buttons that, you know, when you're using it as a bidet. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, or you can use the remote control. So, and that has all the different settings on it.
Wow. I've never seen anything like that. That's so cool.
I also, this is just like a minor thing, but I do like this kind of faucet. Again, with more limited mobility because you can just move it around like this rather than ones that you have to go, right, you know, like 2 single, you know, faucet handles. So there's that. Let's see. I think I heard my husband come in.
Yeah, I think I heard someone too.
Hi, Marty. We're touring. This is just an area that we made a little bit wider right here. I mean, it was just kind of, again, like a little coat area, but we widened it. And then we put just the laundry in here. So I could do my own laundry, but it's not like a, you know, it's just in there. I'm not sure that's like a mess, but basically it just makes it easy for me because I can go up and down and do all of that by myself. This type of laundry situation, again, for somebody with, somebody who doesn't have their hands, very easy to do. As opposed to top loading things can be very difficult. So I did that. This is just another little powder room, nothing exciting. And so, and then into our kitchen. And we really were lucky. We didn't have to do any remodeling in the kitchen because it all worked really.
She's got big,
the major thing we did was
big handles on the cupboards.
A wall that separated the kitchen from this room, which was a 3-season porch, from that room, which was the dining room. So we took out 2 walls and just opened it up.
Nice. I feel like everything you've done too, I'm sure just increased the value of this home.
Yeah,
as well as made it more accessible because it's just so beautiful and open and it's, you know, people get worried about making things work for themselves because they're afraid it's not going to be nice, but I just think this is beautiful.
Oh, well, thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
I do like that we've been able to have a beautiful home that I don't think looks, I mean, I think that's just part of it. It doesn't look like a home that has all of these accessibility features that sometimes can be not as attractive to a future buyer, right, or not as pleasing when you're living in the midst of all of it. So, yeah. So I think the only other thing that I'll show you that we did do that was really helpful is we we built a patio so that it would come.
Oh, nice. So it's flush with the door.
Yeah, yes, so that I don't have to climb any stairs to get in and out and use the deck. So that was a nice thing to do. I can do stairs though, so we haven't had to do ramps of any kind anywhere yet.
But still, it's so nice not to have to walk up and down the stairs, especially if you're having a barbecue.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the first one. So that's what we've done, and I would say I've been happy with everything we've done.
I think your bedroom is so cool.
Oh, well, thanks. And I sit on that.
So that's Pam. In fact, you might know her, Judy. She's up in Grand Rapids. Oops, I forgot. I still have more on this one. So I just thought, does anybody have any thoughts on this? This is just such a well done modification. But she's right. She's 10 years in on what's been going on with her. So it gave her a lot of time to think. Plus, they have some money to play with, and that helps a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
But when I first met her and she wanted that toilet by the bed, she was so excited to hopefully have that someday, and I'm glad she finally got that.
Yeah, that's very smart.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Who did the designs for her?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I sort of lost track of her after I did the initial OT evaluation, and then stumbled upon her again recently, and she invited me over and said, let's do this. I said, okay.
And where is this? What city and state is this?
It's in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh, Grand Rapids.
Karen, do you remember how far out she was from her, health incident that you did her initial evaluation?
Well, I did it right after she got out of the hospital. She was still in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
She was in an old house in East Grand Rapids, and she was stuck in just one small area. She was worried because she wanted to cook, but she couldn't cook because she did have prosthetic arms. But she said, they might melt. There was an issue with them melting. I don't remember exactly what it was. So yeah, she's come a long way.
I have a couple questions, Karen. One is, so in the shower, was she saying because I couldn't see where her amputations were on her lower extremity. Are they above knee, below knee?
They're below
below knee?
They're just below the knee, yeah.
Okay, because I figured what she was saying was she took off her prosthesis and then just kind of walked into the shower, and that's why that stool was so low, because so she would just get up on it. Because I know you were asked the question do you put your prosthesis over in the corner, and I think she said no.
Yeah, no, she
ended up doing
from what she moves those
wall-mounted unit that actually can be voice activated, although I've never had to use it as a voice. Basically come in.
So from what I understand, what she does is she sits down on those
I think this could turn into
bath benches, and then takes her legs off,
Mm-hmm.
and then puts them back on afterwards.
I basically have three different ways I can shower.
I just wondered where they were, so they wouldn't get wet, but maybe.
But yeah, I don't know.
I think that she moves. I think that they're enough out of the way by the way her water is situated that they don't get wet.
Okay.
Yeah, on the other side.
Yeah, that's what I was imagining while she was talking about it, and then seeing where the water is coming from the faucet head, it looks like it comes down straight, but she also has, does she have a handheld that she can hold in both
Yeah,
arms?
it's a wand, more of a wand.
Yeah, a wand.
I can't imagine she uses that wand a whole lot though.
Yeah.
You never know. So think about peri-care and being able, being able to hold the wand. She probably holds it with both arms, right, at midline and directs the water stream to her private areas, and it will help to reach something that a faucet overhead won't reach.
See,
Right.
this is where it made me think she takes them off and climbs up on it because she was demonstrating that she's on the ground.
Yeah.
I think
No, I
this
think
happens
you're
to me.
right, Sheila.
And they live there in Springfield. So I was thinking, I mean, she'd happily come up. But, I kind of want to see it. And they have a cage and everything for it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
She's,
I want to keep the good one and get rid of the bad
So
one.
what kind of qualifications would you look for in somebody that was designing that home for those very specific applications?
But we'll be down to one.
I have a question about those controls,
The,
the voice control and the um, digital, or like who does that? Is that special companies that do that?
yeah, you you buy the product and then have someone install it. But are you talking about the voice control shower?
Yeah, because I'm also thinking about a project that I have where we're trying to get from the kitchen to the garage, the door to become remote or voice control or something. And I don't know. So I was trying to figure out if there's a connection to this or that's a different thing.
So and everybody, maybe other people do different things, but for me, when I and what we've prescribed for a lot of other people we've been working with lately are voice controlled automatic door openers.
Yeah.
They won't you can't use them for like the front door, obviously, because it's a security issue. With those, you have to use an actual remote. But I've had a lot of luck with something called Open Sesame automatic door openers. And Open Sesame automatic door openers have a special part you can buy so that they're compatible with Amazon Echoes. And we've used those quite a bit to make homes, make it so people can just walk in. Well, usually it's people in a wheelchair, so they can just say, Alexa, open the front door, or Alexa, open the garage, not the front door, open the garage door or the bedroom door, that sort of thing. And we've actually gone as far to put little Amazon dots with chargers on them on the actual wheelchairs, so they always have a way to do voice control. We've done that too with one guy had muscular dystrophy, and his mother, he was left home during the day. His mom was worried he wouldn't be able to get out. So we put a voice activated Open Sesame on the door between the garage and the house. And then for the overhead garage door opener, we used something else called, I think it was Control 4, where he could just say, open the garage door, and it would open.
What was that last product for the big garage door?
I really didn't like it. It was called the Control 4, and you had to, it was really clunky. This was like 5 years ago. I'm sure they're better, but it didn't work consistently. We kept having to send somebody out to fix it, and there was like, it wasn't expensive, but it had a subscription price you had to pay. There was just a lot to it. I don't want to recommend it. It worked for what we were doing, but we had issues with it.
Well, because in this case, I mean, there's a two-door garage, and they've already had a automatic garage door opener for a long time. So this from the garage, the small door to get into the kitchen was what we were trying to figure out. How do you do that? So this Open Sesame idea might be a good place to look.
Yeah, so with that guy, they already had an automatic garage door opener. We just set it up so they could open it with their voice. It was voice controlled for their big garage door.
Oh, for the large door.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, cool. And who says where's this chair?
Yeah.
Karen, what was that behind the bedside commode when she moved that wall hanging? I couldn't tell. What was that? The
That was
tank toilet?
that was a flusher for the toilet. It was a wall
Okay,
mounted flusher.
that was really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, how nice. It was nice and big, and all she had to do was lean on it. And it makes me feel bad because we just did a home mod for a guy who lost both his arms, but we didn't recommend anything for the toilet. And it would have been nice to have something big like that on the wall where he could just push with his whole arm instead of trying to have to get that silly lever.
Yeah. I wonder if anybody on the call is from Kansas City, because I've been following. There's a lady, that's my hometown. Originally, I don't live there anymore, but there's a young nurse who had the similar kind of situation with sepsis and has lost all four limbs. Like it hasn't even been a year. And but I'm just thinking, Karen, I might get with you at some point to see if we could get permission from this lady to connect, because I'm sure it would be wonderful for her to see the potential of how things could be.
Right, and I would probably want to maybe even connect her with Pam. I know Pam does a lot of work with people with multiple amputations.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
And I just saw your question about the commode. I don't know what that is as far as the brand of commode it was.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Marlene, did you want to talk a little bit about, I see we're talking about voice activated shades and lights and that sort of thing. Marlene?
Sure. In my area, our Center for Independent Living does this, and they use Google Home. And so I don't do it personally, but we've had clients that needed things voice activated. So the client can say things like, adjust lighting to 50%, turn kitchen light to 100%. And somehow the Google Home can be used to interconnect with a lot of different home needs, opening and closing shades. So it just might be something to explore, because the Center for Independent Living does it, but I don't exactly know all of the ins and outs of how they hook it up.
Yeah, no, I think I bet there are quite a bit of different resources for that sort of thing.
I found it most fascinating the way they had the lighting hooked up. This one client that I was working with who had sort of an ALS, but not officially. And she used a wheelchair and she was quite limited, but she would just do everything by voice activation. And to the percentages, as I described, of the lighting, 50% lighting in the dining room and things like that. And then it would just do it at that percentage. I thought it was pretty cool.
I do too.
So it's not the AAA, it's not for aging, it's the Centers for Independent Living. So every state has Centers for Independent Living, and they're usually then subdivided by counties. So CILs are different than the AAAs. Are you all familiar with, do you work with your CILs in Michigan? Is that where you are?
That's where I am, but no, I don't, but I would like to reach out to them for some of my clients.
Yeah, I'll look it up. So in our area, we have an access point, and I thought all states had this actually. And then, so like obviously I'm from Maryland, so it's called the Maryland Access Point. And then if they need resources for being older, then they're directed to the Area on Aging. And if they need resources, but they're not older, then they're directed to the CILs. I'll try to find a link and put that in there too.
And when I was setting up, just an FYI, when I first started, I had a couple really big muscular dystrophy cases where we just really set the house up so everything was voice activated. When we were doing that, I reached out to a company that did home automation, and just had them, they just worked for me. And so what those guys were used to doing is setting up homes for really high-end homes where, you know, you would have like some elaborate stereo system where everything was voice activated. But again, I was not impressed by how things turned out and how hard it was to get things to work consistently. Right. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Marlene.
So I put the Michigan link, but every state has sills.
Okay. Thank you. So here's another guy that we did recently. And he's obviously brand new bilateral upper extremity amputation. And we started out with this, trying to get the drawer open. What we ended up recommending for him for that drawer was, it looked like a pretty old dresser. So I felt like even if we put handles on that he'd be able to use to open the drawer, he'd probably have to use a lot of strength. So for this, we recommended, you know, D-shaped, large D-shaped handles and a brand new dresser. So that way, you know, the drawers would slide open and close easily. But, you know, Debbie, especially anyone who's got any ideas, I mean, we really do need to get better at these. Here's his front door. So for the front door, he had a storm door, and then he had this door. We did recommend automatic door opener. The only kind we can use on the front door, though, is one that's on a fob or a remote control. But I feel like as people move through things, they get better, you know, they figure out ways to do things. This is how he was opening the refrigerator right now. Oops, really showed it. Here he comes. There he goes. So one thing I wanted to just state, so, and maybe Debbie, you use a lot of these. Oops, you know, for this, what we recommended for this refrigerator are one of those arm loops, so you just stick his arm in the loop and open the door. The other thing we recommended for all his doors are lever style door openers on one side, but then on the inside of the door, having another door loop. So all he'd have to do is grab the loop with his arm and pull the door shut. But, you know, I really want to make sure that we're doing right by these people and that we are catching these things to help make them better for him. This is how he uses his phone. What we recommended for the phone was to make that, instead of, that's just a basic holder, was a charging stand. So when he puts his phone on there, he's got the whole charging stand. We had a big issue with this guy because he's living in a rented mobile home with no Wi-Fi. So it's really hard to automate things without Wi-Fi. At least as far as I know.
So Karen, can you ask that they pay for Wi-Fi to automate?
I put it in the report. I don't know. I think it's hard to get that paid for through, this is workers' comp, but it's in the report.
Okay, so him living in a rental didn't have anything to do with it. It was just that he didn't already have it pre-existing.
No, he didn't have it pre-existing, and so, but you know, one of his goals was to be able to use the microwave so he could heat things up. And you can get voice-activated microwaves, but they don't work if you don't have Wi-Fi. And so we highly recommended Wi-Fi in the report. I have no idea what's going to happen with it. And we don't always hear what happens. He had Wi-Fi, I also would have wanted to say, get him an iPad, because trying to operate on such a small phone all the time is just horrible.
You think Workman's Comp would pay for Wi-Fi? That's such a basic, like, daily living thing now. It's everywhere.
Especially if you're lifting both of your hands.
And for the
Oops, you're
report,
muted, Debbie.
for the report on this one, do you recommend that they build him an accessible house, or you're just making recommendations for a rented mobile home, manufactured home?
The only thing we were allowed to do is to make recommendations for the mobile home, which could be functional with Wi-Fi.
Right.
Maybe one of those mobile homes that you did an in-service on. What would they call the guys from Vermont?
Oh yeah, wheel pad.
The wheel pad. I'm a wheel pad.
It's hard to get that justified though, because mobility wise, he can move.
Yeah, yeah. True. This is true.
Yeah. Did you have any suggestions? That it looked like you were saying something, but
Oh no, I was only going to say you would be surprised at how frequently people minimize when someone has lost one or both hands. Whether they're insurance or case managers, it's shocking how many people say, oh, well, it's not that big deal. You still have whatever. Or you can just get a prosthesis. People have to fight for prostheses these days.
really?
Oh my goodness, yeah. So somebody like me with a congenital limb difference, I often have to fight and am met with denials. And I've worn a prosthesis my whole entire life. But the idea, the notion that insurance companies have is that you have never had a hand to have lost it. So therefore, you don't need it. You don't know what it's like to have loss. I'm fighting a case right now for a patient who has worn a prosthesis his whole life. He has a congenital limb difference, and they're denying him his device that he needs. The device that he has is 5 years old, and he wears it every day. He's an incredible user, and the manufacturer won't repair it because it's 5 years old. And this stuff constantly changes, right? There's always updates to it. There's always new stuff. But anyway, it's much more difficult for anyone with a congenital limb difference to access prosthetic technology than it is for someone with acquired loss. And then someone with acquired loss still has to fight the fight. But that's a whole other topic that would take months to talk about.
Right.
I think you're doing a great job for this guy. Why doesn't he, does he have universal cuffs at all? Can he tolerate something on his forearms?
As of now, he's got absolutely nothing. And quite honestly, I mean, it could be because he's, he just got out of the hospital.
Right.
But it also could be because I find, and I tell people all the time, you have to be a squeaky wheel.
Yeah.
And, if this guy doesn't even know what to ask for, which I suspect might be the case with him as far as prosthetics go, that might be very limiting to him. Which would be sad because, let's see, when was his date of injury?
Where is he? Is he in Michigan? Where is he?
He's in Georgia.
And what had happened to him?
I don't know. One thing is, his date of injury was January 2nd, 2025. So he's brand new.
No, he's he isn't healed yet, for sure.
And I'm hoping that they'll get past that. He'll get past that and that he'll have support. People tend to fall out of the system if they don't know why they should stay in the system.
Yeah.
And so let me just see what's going on with him. Yeah, so here's his door. Obviously, there's his door again. We recommended removing the storm door and putting a lever style door with automatic door opener on for him. He doesn't really do anything in the kitchen, but he wants to use the microwave. So we recommended a micro. We picked out a microwave that had a big handle on it, and that was voice activated. But again, unless they agree to giving him Wi-Fi, that's not going to work. Yeah, he wanted to be able to use the TV remote, so we recommended a voice activated TV remote. We recommended grab bars, so he had something to hold on to when he's getting in and out of the bathtub, and lever style faucet handles with a thermostatic valve, so it would be easier for him to turn on. Same with this, he can't obviously turn on this either, it's just the little spinner handles. But I mean, we recommended a toilet paper holder. Just we're trying to think of whatever we could to really help this guy out. But that's why, again, I'm really grateful that you're here, Debbie, because I'm hoping, especially as these things go on and we get more of these, I'd love to, you can pay to consult with us. One guy, so we've got an evaluation tomorrow for a guy who lost both his arms. When did he lose his arms? In 1999. He just bought a house that he wants to set up for his own, for his forever home. He's 58 now. And so we just talked to him a little bit about what's going on with him. He can't tolerate his prosthetics for very long. He has a lot of skin breakdown. He lost his upper extremities as a result of burns. And so he's got a lot of skin issues over and above just not having his upper extremities. The other issue he has is he had 3/4 inch, I can't remember what they call it, 3/4 inch burns that went through 3/4 of his skin.
Skin thickness.
And covered over about 80% of his body. And so what he can't really bend over to do things. He doesn't have that kind of motion because of a lot of the skin issues. And then of course he doesn't have either one of his hands. I don't know how well he can talk. He doesn't really say a whole lot. He only is communicating with me right now via email. So like I said, he uses a Kensington ball roller. He uses Amazon Echo for some things, for lighting and music. But what he really loves is cooking. And he has, I think, 6 or 12 hours of attendant care a day, and he just tries to help as much as he can. But what he really wants from us is to help him be able to cook in the kitchen. So let's see, I think he wrote in here. So he obviously wants a hands-free sink control. And I don't know, I really would like to ask everyone, we put in the touch control, Delta touch controls. Those are the touch sinks that we found have worked the best, but even those are a little glitchy. People aren't excited about those. As we all know, the motion activated sinks can just be a hassle. Has anybody found anything that they really like or don't like for faucets?
I thought the one that Pam had was really great.
Ditto. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Hey, Michelle. Michelle's going to be doing the evaluation tomorrow for this guy. We haven't been to his house yet.
So I'm typing into the chat an organization out of Texas that is international. It's run right now by a friend of mine named Sean Swanson Johnson, who's an OT. She used to work for Autobach and a number of other major prosthetic companies. But she's the executive director now of Enhancing Skills for Life, and they are oriented toward developing resources, including social prescription, so a lot of peer support for persons with bilateral upper limb absence. Usually it's due to traumatic loss. And many of the people in this organization have quadrimembral involvement to the point where they have a special group called the Quad Squad. This group is international. There are chapters in Australia, across Europe. It's an amazing organization. They sponsor a conference about, I forget if it's every other year or every third year now. It used to be every third year, and it might have grown, but COVID has messed things up, and I just don't remember. But I do know that this October is their next conference, and they even have scholarships for attendees with who are persons with upper limb loss or absence. So
And I think Pam, who we saw the video on, would really like to join in on that. So I'm going to make sure she has that information.
Yep. They also put out videos of suggestions, not just for home modifications and work modifications, but also adaptive equipment, dressing trees, strategies for engaging in personal care, instrumental ADLs, you name it. So I would really recommend that. So I'm putting that in the chat, and I'll try to, while we're on here, I'll try to look up the actual website, which I think I sent to you earlier today, Karen, or to Stephanie.
Or Stephanie, I think, sent me a text about it.
But if you'd like, I can introduce you personally to Sean, and perhaps that would be a great connection.
Yeah, I would really appreciate that, especially as I said, for some reason we're getting a lot of bilateral upper extremity amputations or just limb loss.
What a great resource. Could she be a guest?
Oh, she could. I'm sure she'd love it. She would be great.
We'll have to ask her. It'd be nice if she could come to maybe the next meeting, and you as well, Debbie, and maybe help, go over some of these cases with us and maybe make some additional suggestions so we have that in our tool belt, as we go on, because a lot of times people get funding based on our reports, and if we miss something, then they don't get it funded, and that just
keeps me up at night sometimes because they get a lot of times one shot. So for his kitchen, we are planning on doing higher cabinets because he can't bend over, and because obviously his limbs are shortened. So that way he'll be able to do things maybe at a height that works for him. I'm surprised he hasn't tried doing things at table level, but I haven't been able to talk to him about that. Maybe you can ask him about that, Michelle. The thing is, I find with people who are dealing with pain, sometimes they can't sit. Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
And so standing might be like what's most comfortable for him. Is my voice still staticky? I don't know what I can do to change that.
Yeah.
Darn it. So is there any, I had an OT that I worked with for a while, and she was so wonderful because she also was single-handed, and she, I learned a lot from her as far as buttoning, zipping. I work with a lot of kids who had hemiplegia, and also different things that she liked to have in the kitchen, like pop-top openers or pop-top storage containers, that kind of thing. Is there anything that anyone could really recommend to help people with this guy who wants to work in the kitchen? One thing we need to do is put switches on all the outlets so he can just turn the outlets off because they interfere with his prosthesis. I don't know if you have that trouble, Debbie, or not.
Wait a minute, my connection is going.
I can hear you quite well, and it makes me sad if I'm still staticky.
Yeah. And I might sign off and come back.
Okay. So I wish that there was something I could do to correct this issue with my microphone. I don't know what that would be. So I don't know what to do with this guy as far as setting his kitchen up. We're going to see how he moves. I'm hoping that he'll let us do some videos. He's not sure if he's comfortable with that or not. We'll find out tomorrow. I hope that he is. But we will be looking at different ways to set up the kitchen. And once we see what's going on with him, start, really doing a deep dive into, accessible kitchens. This is workers' comp. So let's see. Oh, and another thing, he has, he's scared to death of falling because obviously he doesn't have any hands to catch himself. So one thing that, we're also going to be looking at is strategies to help him keep his balance, especially as he ages. I talked to him about possibly putting in a trough or some sort of handrail, and he's not real sure if he's comfortable with that, making it higher so he can put his stump on that. I suspect, like with the burns, he's got a lot of pain that he's dealing with, and so that makes it really difficult to really accept some of these. He's got an electronic bidet on the way. All his clothes have elastics, magnets, and Velcro. He has a lot of wound care he's dealing with at all times. He says he can use a speakerphone, although with us, he's refused to talk to us on the phone. He's only doing, he's only responding to emails. So, yeah, one thing we are looking for him is maybe a walk-in shower. I do find that it can be really difficult to get like a walk-in shower for somebody who is ambulatory. I don't know what's going on with him though, as far as how he moves with all these burns. And all he did tell me was he can't bend over very well because of the burns. So, if anybody at all has any ideas for this, I did ask him if he would like something like this. It's a robotic feeder, and he said that he had one at one time. He said it made a mess of him, and so a lot of times he'll just eat like the dog eats. He wasn't real interested in this. In fact, he said he knew the guy who invented it. And then I'll just show you, this is the trackball he uses. Actually, I don't know which one of them he uses, but he says he uses the Kensington trackball. It works very well for him. He said a mouse is just a nightmare for him. And then here's a fridge pull. So we will keep you all updated how things work with this kitchen. I'm hoping that we can set it up so it works for him. I'm tempted to send out, we've got another guy who, I can't remember exactly what his issues are. I think he's got some use of his left hand, but he does have use of his right hand. And one thing that's very, very important to him is cooking. He cooks for the family. So we're going to be trying to figure out how to set up his kitchen as well. One thing we may be doing with that, and that one, I don't know if Amber's here. No, she's not. For that one, I might be sending out a kitchen designer because I want to be part of the design to make sure that, I want him to have a sink right next to the stove, even if it's just a utility sink, so he's not carrying everything. A lot of other little things that we can do as far as setting up the kitchen that maybe won't get done correctly unless, we're a part of that. So.
Karen, I don't know if you already talked about this, but is this gentleman going to be eligible for any kind of prosthetic limb?
This guy, this particular guy was injured like 25 years ago, and he has prosthetic limbs, and I assume it's due to the burns, he has a lot of skin breakdown on his stumps, so he can't use them consistently.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about feeding. Could they help him with feeding?
Like I said, when I talked to him about eating, he said a lot of times he eats like the dog eats.
Yeah.
So, but we will, this guy, this particular guy seems to be, well educated. He seems to, give things a lot of thought. He seems to have some ideas. So what I'm hoping is we can do a lot of back and forth and send him a lot, and really work with him on what he feels going to work and what's not going to work. Because we can help identify the products, but nobody knows his function the way he does. And it'd be nice, with something like this, if maybe you can trial some of this sort of thing. I'm going to be looking into the Center for Enhanced Living Skills, or whatever that was that Debbie just was talking about, and hopefully we can find something to help them there as well. So, all right. Well, thank you all so very much for coming today. I really appreciate your time, and any ideas that you have or anything you can come across, especially for the kitchen, that would mean a lot to this man. He said, I asked him what he liked to do, and he said he would never leave the house except he loves high-end food, and food's just very important to him. So if we could do something to help him be independent and, be able to be creative in the kitchen, it would really mean a lot. So if anyone has any ideas, even if they're crazy, let me know.
Karen, I'll put in the chat. There's a company here in Asheville called Simply Home. I've heard of them, I think. But there's somebody we should get on here too. But they have a lot of high tech adaptations for the home.
Yeah, please do. Please do. Thank you, Sheila. And then we'll also have a HUD meeting. Again, we're going to be launching in Louisiana at the end of this month, and so we'll have some things going on with that as well. And I think we'll probably be launching for Sheila and Jill, I would expect, in June or July. That's a guess, though. It doesn't mean anything. It's just what I think. So who knows when it's really going to happen.
Is this the effect of the changes from?
Yeah, I think they're trying to launch as fast as they can before they can pull funding.
Oh, so you still have some?
We have 6 right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so hopefully we can keep them going. All right. Well, have a wonderful evening, and I will hope to see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you.